But I don't even know what day it is, guys. It's the it's May the 4th, 2021. It's about 7:30 in the morning here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Um I'm going to do some live streams, but it was just such a weird time in the morning, and this is such important information. The Plume sent me an article on this, and then I looked up a bunch of other articles. Um, just super, super important information. It's happening, like it's happening, and I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that the information was just going to flood out. And let me read some of this. I just don't want to forget the main point. I'm smiling this morning, like my targeting's bad. I know all of you guys are struggling, that are being attacked, that are being fired upon by directed energy weapons remotely. It's going on everywhere. They're using it operationally. They're hitting White House aides and politicians and agents, all these different contractors hitting different people from different intelligence agencies, getting contractors to hit all these different people operationally, experimentally, and it's getting reported, right? More and more people are coming out of the woodwork. Influential people, politicians, and embassy workers, and things like that. So it's happening. I didn't even believe it at certain points, but years ago, God put it in my heart that like this was going to come out. Like just a deep intuition, a deep discernment. But the way that things are going and the targeting so bad at certain times, my head was like, no way. It's just going to totally keep getting dismissed, but it's not. But it's not. This is I can't think of the word. This is the dominoes falling is the best thing I can say. When you got so many people coming out and influential people saying they've been hit with this stuff, it's going to happen more and more, right? There's no probability or logic that says it's just going to stop now, right? It's going to get more and more people coming out speaking about this. Like I don't know. I'm looking at the CIA and the State Department and their investigation, which is a cover up, and I'm like thinking, like, because all this stuff happens, and I'm like, they had to have planned this. They had to use an algorithm, plan the Cuban embassy attacks for this to come out in a certain way. They're planning it because they've been doing it for so long. They need to, have a certain narrative. But like as I look at it now and this mess that's happening, um, I think that the CIA and the State Department and the Pentagon are scrambling to cover this up. I don't think this was planned at all. I think this is they got greedy because it's corporate and military marrying, right? And then making a bunch of money to map brains and everything like that and torture people. It's the greed of corporations that screwed them over. I have to do this, guys. I know some of you are going to think this is very crude, but I have to do it. I've been waiting for a couple of years. I did it at the beginning because I thought this would be like an easy thing. Oh, they're hitting people with direct energy. This is going to be put down soon, right? And so I said this, I think, on earlier videos. I need to say it now. Smile, you son of a bitch. And if you don't know what that is, if you don't know what that line's from, smile, you son of a bitch. Look it up. Just put in that line on YouTube and you will understand where that line is from. A lot of you know where that line's from. We see the whites of their eyes, guys. Yeah, it's time. Okay, so let me get started, right? It is happy. A lot of bad stuff is happening in my life, and the targeting is very difficult. Supernatural healing and everything, clinging to God in the name of Jesus Christ. Walk on that water. But this is happy, happy news. Thank you to Plume for sending me an article about this. It's just flooding out, and I found a bunch of other articles on it. So U.S. investigating possible mysterious directed energy attack near White House. So there was an attack in 2019, and then there are recent attacks on White House aides. Sorry, I'm not happy about people getting hit with directed energy, but I am happy when there are mainstream articles about remote microwave energy, remote directed energy being a problem around the White House. That's a national security problem for the government, for our government, right? So these contractors are going out, they're just crazy. They're crazy and they're hitting White House aides. maybe these White House aides did something that the contractors in the military industrial complex didn't like, and now they're hitting them to try and get them out of their jobs, right? So it's gone beyond this experimentation where they're covering it up in a certain way where it's just out of control. It's just out of control. So hang on, guys. Every targeted individual listening to this, every targeted individual out there, please just hang on, hang on. You know, because we don't know how this is all going to play out. But I felt this. I felt this years ago. I was like, this is going to happen. This stuff's going to come out. It's going to roll. The dominoes are going to roll. I also got the discernment that I would not be tortured to the end of my life. And you know, people have died from the torture, but a lot of us are going to make it through this. I believe a lot of us are going to make it through these attacks, and things are going to change. The world's still going to suck, and the New World Order is still doing the takeover and everything. And what really, well, let me get to this because I can ramble on a lot. So this is by Katie Bo Williams and Jeremy Erb. Let's see how they swing this. But there's so many stories coming out. So Washington, federal agencies are investigating at least 2 possible incidents on U.S. soil, including one near the White House in November of last year that appear similar to mysterious invisible attacks that have led to debilitating symptoms for dozens of U.S. personnel abroad. Multiple sources familiar with the matter tell CNN that while the Pentagon and other agencies probing the matter have reached no clear conclusions on what happened, the fact that such an attack might have taken place so close to the White House is particularly alarming. This changes everything because the security of the White House is this huge deal. You remember how they were putting all that stuff around it because of the protests at the Capitol that happened that they said it was an insurrection. And then they put all the barriers and they cleared out the city, right? So you're having remote directed energy attacks around the White House. So it's going to be this serious national security issue at the White House coming up against a national security issue of these weapons being hidden, right? The greed has got to the evil. The greed has got to the evil, and it's just flowing out. It's doing all these wrong things, and it's just revealing itself, right? Because evil is greedy. So defense officials briefed lawmakers on the Senate and House Armed Services Committees on the matter earlier this month, including on the incident near the White House. That incident, which occurred near the Ellipse, the large oval lawn on the south side of the White House, sickened one National Security Council official, according to multiple current and former U.S. officials and sources familiar with the matter. So it seems like he's getting nauseous and maybe overheated, right? And like my attackers can do something very specific with remote neural manipulation to my brain, send a signal to my brain to make me super nauseous and just a feeling of vertigo and like I just can't do anything, right? So it lines up with what targeted individuals are going through. Obviously, because we are being hit by directed energy, and these people reporting it are being hit by directed energy. So in a separate 2019 episode, a White House official reported a similar attack while walking her dog in a Virginia suburb just outside Washington. GQ reported last year. I need to get that article. I think maybe we've gone over that article, but I want to go over it again. Those sickened reported similar symptoms to CIA and State Department personnel impacted overseas, and officials quickly began to investigate the incident as a possible Havana Syndrome attack. I hate that name. I hate that. That name is pure propaganda. That name refers to unexplained symptoms that U.S. personnel in Cuba began experiencing in late 2016. People all over the world are experiencing these things because they're being experimented on and tortured, and these weapons have been used operationally for a long time, but the operational stuff that they're doing with it now in the war in Syria and other wars, and then the spy games that they're doing with remote neural monitoring, it's overflowing to the surface. The operational things. It's like so many people got experimented on, so many I'd say tens of thousands of people reporting that, they're being tortured. It completely ignored, but now the operational stuff is biting them in the ass, right? And we need to get in there somehow. Because with me and with a lot of you guys, some of you guys that may have just been operational from the beginning, if you were whistleblowers or whatever, for me, it was like it started with experimentation, because then I'm speaking about the experimentation being done on me and directed energies being directed at me, and this top secret stuff that's just being done to me that I didn't know anything about. It's become like experimental and operational at the same time. I just want to mention, well, I mean, I'll probably mention this on another video, but it's like I was walking out to my car yesterday, and had a police helicopter. A police helicopter flew exactly over my head, directly over my head. It was timed and it was synchronized with me walking to my car, that police helicopter flying over my parking lot. And all they have to do is fly over your parking lot, and it's like it feels like it's going right over your head. And at first I got really angry because I was like, there are riots everywhere. There are cities being destroyed. There are real criminals everywhere. Criminals being hired to gang stalk, let's be honest. But I was like, I'm walking out to my car like a zombie with my, like, dragging my leg because my attackers have just, this is one thing they do. I don't want to get too far off of this sidetrack already, but they hit me in the leg so hard. It's in a certain pressure point, and then I drag that leg because the whole leg just feels like cooked and messed up. But my point is, I'm like walking out my car, can barely think because I'm getting hit by microwaves so much, and they're spending money to synchronize a police helicopter flying over my head, and I'm not, like, I'm helping people and trying to be with my family. My grandma's doing worse, which is a whole nother can of beans, right? Had some really good I had a really good exchange with her, because she is, like, she's actually taking painkillers now, and that's a huge sign that she's in so much pain, 'cause she doesn't like taking them. They kind of make her out of it. But yesterday I was like, you know, Grandma, you're the strongest person I know. And she said it back to me, and it sounded like she meant it. She was like, no, you're the strongest person I've known. And it was great. It was great. It's like my family is coming around to not understanding this, but understanding that I'm going through something. And then I'm facing it. When you face this stuff with as much integrity and grace and faith, and you stay connected to God, people will feel that. They will feel it eventually. It hasn't before, but it will turn around. You know, people that are important, don't let go of them. Rumors have long swirled around Washington about similar incidents within the United States. While the recent episodes around Washington appear similar to the previous apparent attacks affecting diplomats, CIA officers, and other U.S. personnel serving in Cuba, Russia, and China, everyone's getting hit. Every country has these weapons, and there's spies coming to every country, and they're saying they're embassy workers, they're saying they're something else. There's remote neural monitoring that can look in people's heads. It can send signals to the brain, receive signals to the brain back to a integrated weapon systems, monitors, and things like that. It can see if somebody's coming in and saying they're an embassy worker, but they're really CIA, or there's somebody from another country, let's say Russia or China, coming into the United States saying they're an embassy worker, but they're really a spy for one of their intelligence organizations. The United States can look in their heads with remote neural monitoring, can look in a bunch of heads and see this person's not telling the truth, this person, well, let's attack these people and get them out of our country, right? That's what's happening on this operational level. I forgot my point about that. Investigators have not determined whether the puzzling incidents at home are connected to those that have occurred abroad, or who may be behind them, sources tell CNN. So it's a big cover-up, right? The United States has this weapon. Every country has these weapons. They're hitting everybody operationally, experimentally, torturing people, and they're like, oh, we just don't know about this. It's a mysterious thing. But the Pentagon is informed on neurotechnology and knows it manufactures, it orders the manufacturing of integrated directed energy weapon systems by, like, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, who's the big one, Lockheed Martin, and many, many other contractors under intelligence agencies in the DoD. Right? This is huge. This is huge, and there's no way to hide it. Can you hide an elephant behind a tissue? They're trying to hide an elephant behind a tissue. And it worked. Hiding the elephant behind the tissue worked because people didn't want to believe it. But there comes a time when it's so in people's face, it's like past their face into the back of their head. It's in their head, right? Because of this technology. And then they have to deal with it. And then they have to deal with it. It's just something that the humanity has to deal with, and the sooner the better. And what worries me, I don't want to say much about the worry because this is great news and things are coming out and things can change and things can change and we can change things, right? In the name of Jesus Christ, we can change everything. We can change this world and change ourselves and change others and prepare, do what Jesus Christ wanted us to do. What was I going to say? My memory stuff is still really bad. I got to get, somebody was telling me about, Naughty was telling me about zootropics, and it's like specifically targets the brain to make your brain work better. Um, and since I'm off the kratom, pretty much off the kratom now, which is way better. I don't think it was just taking kratom for so long. I don't think there would have been a problem, but I was taking it for so long regularly that I think my attackers had found a protocol that they could use against me while I was using that. I think that a lot of these things we use regularly, they'll network and they'll figure out a protocol that can use that thing, whatever it's doing to our brain, they can use that kind of with the remote neural manipulation, right? It doesn't seem like they've been able to do that so much with the lorazepam or the Neuron. And I take this sparingly, just like when I need to. I'm trying to like really just use natural stuff and tone down on any kind of pharmaceuticals. Defense officials who briefed lawmakers said it was possible Russia was behind the attacks. Russia's going to get blamed for like all of this, but they did not have enough information to say for sure. Another former U.S. official involved in the investigation at the time said China was also among the suspects. Okay, well at least that's a little bit of honesty. I honestly think that they're making a push for this. Biden's administration is making a push for this so much because they want it to be placed on. They want the blame to be placed on Russia. And if you have a Trump administration doing this, they're probably going to investigate it a little bit more truthfully, right? They're not just going to be paid by China, have been paid by China in the past, and are being paid by China now. So obviously Biden's administration and the direction that the administration with the military-industrial complex is going to take is probably not going to be a posture against China. It's definitely not. I mean, they may mention China like this, but the main brunt of it's going to be on Russia. Because Biden has always been paid by China, his son's been paid by China, and he's getting paid by China now. You see, so he works for China, which is very dangerous because we don't want to be like China. China's the worst. Like anybody who's different at all is murdered or put into a concentration camp. They steal people's organs. They put the Uyghurs, the half Muslims, half Chinese, into concentration camps, kill them, take their organs, and they have a closed-up country, so nobody. And then all the other countries are torturing their own citizens. So they're like, well, we're not going to do anything about this, right? When like in the World War II times, we would be over in China saying you can't put your people in concentration camps because that's what we did. That's what we did to Germany, right? The U.S. has struggled to understand these attacks since 2016 and 2017. The Pentagon knew exactly what was going on. The CIA knew exactly what these weapons were. They use these weapons. They know about these weapons. They use them on their own citizens. I wonder, though, about the compartmentalization, and then when they pick like a team at the CIA or the Pentagon to investigate this stuff, if they do pick clueless people who are decompartmentalized from knowing about the weapons, because things have been so siloed, right? I kind of wonder about that. If they get useful idiots to go out and really not know about these weapons, I wonder, because everything, they've got all this stuff set up. When diplomatic and intelligence personnel in Cuba first began reporting alarming symptoms that seemed to appear out of the blue, intelligence and defense officials have been reluctant to speak publicly about the strange incidents, and some who were impacted have complained publicly that the CIA did not take the matter seriously enough, at least initially. It's trying to cover it up. The CIA uses these weapons, knows about them, contracts out to contractors and security industry specialists to experiment on citizens, map brains, right? In only one angle, teaching AI how to think better, right? By mapping our brains and seeing how we think. Also trying to get people to do dangerous stuff, mass shootings and things like that. Seeing how they can push beliefs, trauma-based mind control, trauma-based behavioral conditioning, all those things, all those really evil things, right? The attacks eventually, and then even more, and then more that I'm not even talking about, because like my situation has to do with this, right? The attacks eventually led to a dramatic drawdown of staff at the outpost in Havana under the Trump administration. Personnel in Russia and China reported similar unexplained incidents, though there's no consensus as to what causes the symptoms. One State Department-sponsored study found the likely were the result of microwave energy attacks. Bingo, you got it. Remote microwave energy attacks. So many people, hundreds of thousands to millions around the world, experimented on these things for years and years and years since 1952. They've scaled up the weapons since then. They've scaled up the techniques. They've added microwave hearing and all this stuff. Microwave hearing, remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation, and all these things since 1952. They prepared to experiment on people. Every country prepared by creating, for America it was the DSM-1, right? For other countries they have similar psychiatric handbooks where they knew they were going to experiment on people, harass them, and do these things, and they said if anybody ever says anything like this, label them as mentally ill, right? Unbelievable that they prepared for these programs, but they did. It's not that unbelievable once you know how society's working. It's not in a good way. Society's not working in a good way. So a bureaucratic power play. Another mystery surrounding Havana syndrome is how the U.S. government is confronting the problem. They're not. They're trying to hide it. Among those investigating the mysterious pattern of possible attacks are the CIA, which tells you something immediately. The CIA never, they always do a Senate investigative committee or, I think the state, I guess somebody was saying the State Department basically is the CIA, which I guess I agree with. But it wouldn't be like, oh, the CIA has taken on this investigation. That never happens. Never happens with anything. It should be a huge red flag to everybody. To every normal person that the CIA is undergoing an investigation on something. It means there's a cover-up afoot when the CIA is tasked to investigate something. It means that factually, that's it, end of story. The State Department, the Defense Department. So near the end of the Trump administration, the Pentagon sought to take, near the end of the Trump administration, Near the end of the Trump administration, the Pentagon sought to take the lead out of perceived frustration that other agencies were not doing enough to address the issue. I knew CIA and Department of State were not taking this shite seriously, and we wanted to shame them into it by establishing our task force. Chris Miller, who was acting defense secretary at the time, told CNN last week. So Trump was against an investigation on the directed energy weapon attacks. That's interesting to know that the Trump administration was against that. So the Trump administration was all for covering up the experimentation on citizens and everything. He did some good stuff, but he had so much bad stuff that he did. All right, you guys that say Trump was bad, it is. He was bad. He's covering up really big stuff that could have helped a lot of people. Sucks. But I still liked a lot of stuff that he did. Pentagon leaders set up the task force to track reports such symptoms hitting Defense Department personnel overseas, an effort that Miller said was intended in part as a bureaucratic power play to force CIA and state to take the problem more seriously in their own personnel. You see what's happening? You know, when I do this, I can't explain things. I mean, I can explain things well, but sometimes when I hit a part where I can't explain, I go like this. That's it. That's it. You see these certain departments that are unsiloed are like, hey, we're going to push you, CIA, we're going to push you, Pentagon, to investigate this stuff because they don't know there's some kind of cover-up and all these people are being experimented on, right? It's more and more of this, so much of this right now, like that. And it goes like that. Okay, so Pentagon leaders set up the task force to track reports of such symptoms hitting Defense Department personnel overseas, an effort that Miller said was intended in part as a bureaucratic power. Okay, I read that. Miller said he began to see reports of these mysterious symptoms as a higher priority in December after interviewing an alleged victim with extensive combat experience. Everybody's getting hit with this stuff. It's the new weapon. It's the new weapon and the new consumer product and the new everything. Directed energy is everything to biotechnology and transhumanism and all the things that are the most important to the top of the pyramid. Directed energy is the future. Fighting it, balancing it, getting it out to the public, the evil people using it to read minds. They've already got, this is the thing that worries me, right? The thing that worries me is the top of the pyramid has already mapped millions of brains, right? That's how they're so efficient on rolling out the pandemic and rolling out these things, these political things and tribalization. They know us so well, right? That's why it's so important to stop this as soon as possible, because they're already way ahead of the game. Evil being ahead of the game, we shouldn't be so much worried about it, because God just controls everything, and he does like amazing things that I can't even figure out, and it just happens, you know. But they are. But we've got to just state the fact that evil's way ahead of the game on this game of humanity. And we were told that, you know, it was prophesied, so it's nothing to really worry about, just something to say, and it doesn't really matter in the long run, you know. Okay, so he says, when this officer came in and I knew his background and he explained in an extraordinarily detailed but more military style that I could understand, I was like, this is actually for real. This is for real, y'all. This is for real. Jeff C used to always say that, because there was that thing where the guy, the crisis actor, was at the hospital and he was like, this is for real, y'all, about CV. This is for real. This is actually for real, y'all. Miller said, this kid had been in combat a bunch and he knew, you know. So like me, not, you know, graduating from University of Texas at film school, working at Dell for 6 to 7 years. You know, obviously, right, I can speak intelligently. It doesn't matter when I say it. It's a military guy, and he knew what he was talking about. He had credentials. He had government credentials. That's who he was listened to. Like it says so much. It says so much that the average citizen that does not pledge their allegiance to the state is not important. Can be called mentally ill, can be experimented on, can be done anything. I would we'll watch this movie probably. I haven't been too good on movie nights. We only watch one. I'm sorry. But we're gonna. I've just been really sick, dealing with my own stuff, dealing with my family. But like, we're getting so close, right? Things are just coming out. We need to report these things, but we're getting so close that I don't know how many more panels and things like that we're going to need. We need to push on all this really important stuff, right? We need to change footing, right? And I'm praying about that. I'm getting down on my knees and I'm saying, God, what do I need to do right now? Because you put this stuff in my heart. Like, he put this stuff that I saw this. Like, I saw it happening. Like, I told my attackers, like, I was in that house that burnt down like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, and I was like, this is all going to come out. They're going to hit too many people. We all talked about it, right? Oh, it'd be nice, not nice, but somebody getting hit with microwaves, but if a politician or somebody influential got hit and that it influenced the situation, right? That's happening on big time level. Other countries, the United States is hitting people that are coming in here from other countries. They're reporting it too. We just, like, I'd love it if people would send me some of that stuff, you know, from like Russia reporting on directed energies. If we can get news from China, but Australia, the UK, if you guys from the Australia, UK, these especially, yeah, Australia and the UK and New Zealand, if there's any news articles from y'all's countries about this, I'll look too, but maybe, I don't know if y'all have search engines that can find that stuff a lot easier in your country. Obviously you do. Please send me some of that stuff. It seems like it's just going to come out worldwide, right? And the UN, the timing to me is like, this is a planned reveal, and they're going to try and control the narration, but I'm just not too sure. The way that things are fumbling and just coming out way too fast, right? Not sure. And I hope they screwed up, because that leaves us such a huge undefended area to just go through. Smile, you son of a bitch. Please look that up on YouTube. Don't think I'm just saying something crude. It comes from something very serious and very precious to my heart. Okay, so The CIA began its task force in December 2020 and expanded its efforts under new director William Burns, who vowed during his confirmation hearings to review the evidence on the alleged attacks on CIA personnel overseas, which have long been publicly reported. The State Department named a senior official to lead the department's response to the Havana Syndrome attacks in March. The Defense Department's effort is thought to be among the most robust, potentially explaining why a defense official rather than the intelligence community or the FBI briefed lawmakers. The Defense Department's effort is thought to be among the most robust, potentially explaining why a defense official rather than the intelligence community or the FBI briefed lawmakers on the incident at the ellipse, even though it took place on the U.S. soil. I'll tell you why that happened, because the Department of Defense is so heavily involved in giving these contracts out to contractors and security industry specialists. And they probably got somebody who was really, really well versed in what they were doing with these weapons to come out and say, you know, oh, this, we don't know what this is, right? They had to be very careful about this. They may not have even put people out there who were siloed into not knowing about it. They probably put people who knew a lot about it to be more careful, right? Because you put somebody out there that's de-siloed, they may start saying stuff like Marco Rubio. When that Senate Intelligence Committee happened for the Cuban embassy attack, he started blabbing about microwaves early on in the Senate Investigative Committee, right? Because they're covering up that national security aspect, the national security aspect about these weapons, which they're murdering people 24 hours a day, right? So I don't know if I'm gonna. It's a long article, guys. You guys can read it, or maybe we'll read some more of it on some live streams. I really just wanted to get out the articles, so let me show you guys. Okay, so we got this article here from CNN. U.S. investigating possible mysterious directed energy attack near White House. We've got an article from... Give me a second. My attackers are freezing up my computer really, really bad. Usually it doesn't really matter with these videos that aren't live streamed, but this one, they're getting really, really worried about this and stuff like that. They just don't want to look like they're not handling things. So they hurt me really, really bad when I'm trying to put information out. There was another, I can't remember, but they were really, really hit me hard on another one of the videos I made. This is super important. So this is from the New York Post. U.S. investigating possible mysterious directed energy attack near White House. This is the New York Post. I can't really get it. Okay, here we go. Unleash the Hulk. Unleash the Hulk. Okay, so this is from the New York Post. Just want to read a little bit of it. Okay, and I'm having trouble. My attackers can just completely freeze stuff up. They have programs running in the background. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, guys. Well, I'll talk about that later, but I've spoken about this, but every morning I'll wake up and I grab my phone, right, and I'll like turn it on. And now my attackers are playing this game, which at first it's like, so I'll turn on the phone and then it'll turn off. And I'll turn it back on, right? It has 100% battery because it's been on the charger all night long. So I turn it on because I usually put it on airplane mode and turn it off. So I turn it on, it has a full battery, you know, put my code in, turn off airplane mode, and immediately it will turn off, right? My phone will just turn off automatically. And so I'll turn it back on. Like I'll turn my phone back on. Then it has a 10% battery. So it's like switching. It's like my attackers have a full clone of my phone and everything on it, and the contacts and the texts and everything, and they're just switching it out with my phone, right? That's why I have this thing on my phone. I want to make videos just on my phone sometimes. I like that. I like that just, you know, especially when I had that police helicopter, but I didn't have any, you know, memory on the phone, nor did I really have time to do it. But I have this big gray... I can't remember the gigabytes, but it's so much. It's like takes up like more than half the memory of my phone, and I think it's because my attackers are like have a clone of everything, and they'll switch that out, right? it happened every morning this way, or every time I'd wake up, because sometimes I'm on a bad sleep schedule. And so I'd turn on the phone, they'd turn it off 10%, right? So I'd turn it off again and then turn it back on. They'd be at 100%. So it'd switch back to my software that I had on the phone, right? To my version of the phone. They turn it off again, they come back on, it's at 10%. They keep doing this. And I was like, this is what I said, because we talk a lot about human operators and AI, and I said, this is an automated system doing this. This is an automated system, but it wasn't at the time. You see, it's teaching me a lot about what our attackers do, or at least in my case, the human operators. They were doing this, the human operators were doing this thing with my phone and messing around and harassing me because they know that's my routine in the morning, right? But they do it and they're putting it into the automated system when they're doing these human things so that then it can be automated, right? Did we all understand that? Like, I mean, because, like, I'm not sure. I think maybe a lot of us understand that, but that's kind of like, I've seen my human operators on remote neural manipulating stuff, on harassment stuff and everything. It's like they'll do stuff manually for a time and get it rolling and then automate it if it's working and stuff like that. And that's how it kind of operates. Some of the automated stuff I think just starts off automated, right? But the V2K is a big example of that. When this started out for me, it was really manual V2K, and it was these people saying things over and over again. I realize now that they were saying things over and over again manually because they wanted to record that and have it in Chatterbox, right? So some of you guys have V2K where they say a bunch of different stuff. They have conversations with you. It's all variable, right? It changes so you know that it's manual. With mine, even when it was manual, they were saying things over and over and repeating things because they were preparing to put it in Chatterbox, right? So that's a good example of human operators doing something manually over and over, preparing it for the automated system, right? Okay, so the feds are, and this is for the remote neural manipulation. So there's signals to the brain. They can pick up signals from the brain, but then they can also manipulate you neuronally. They can manipulate your brain, right? There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about because I haven't done a video in a while, but we'll maybe do, we'll maybe do a live stream and not have a lot of information. And then I can kind of ramble on about some stuff I've been thinking about. Hey, I'm getting back to where I can. It's hard because I'll come up with good ideas, right? And I've said this for a while, and I really need to write them down because I'll think of these, awesome ideas, and then they're gone. My attackers, if I have a good idea that you guys would like and it would get us fired up, they get that get that out, And so I'm really praying to God. And also Nadia showed me this guy, Pastor Stephen Furtick, and I think I'm going to do some videos where maybe we just watch some of his sermons and we talk about him. He's awesome. Pastor Stephen Furtick on YouTube. I'll do a video about him so you guys can check him out. I forgot my point about that. What was my point? It's really helping me. He's like Joel Osteen. I think that Joel Osteen is a biblical preacher. He uses the Bible and stuff like that, but people say he's not. But if you don't like Joel Osteen, it's like Pastor Stephen Furtick. I think he's more a scripture pastor, and it's like every video that I watch from him, he had a conversation with Pastor what is it, TD Jakes, and I love him. And those conversations are really good. They talk about the mind, right? They talk about the mind, and it kind of makes me sad a little bit, but I know that God's got a path for me because, Pastor Jake said something like, this is the first, right? And it's completely true, and it makes it hard for us targeted individuals sometimes. So I want to make it inclusive of women. So a man thinketh, so a man or woman thinketh, that's what they are, right? Basically, that's what they are. That's the Bible verse. That's very important to Pastor Jakes. The hard thing for us is that sometimes it's like with the mind control, with the remote neural manipulation, especially for me, it's like, yeah, but so a man thinketh, that's who he is, and that's a problem because the remote neural manipulation makes me feel ways, especially with such long conditioning, and that's, it's not who I want to be, right? So that's the mind control makes that stuff hard. But I know that God's got a path, and God has the power to even keep things out of the gate like remote neural manipulation in ways that I don't understand, right? Solutions coming up that I don't understand, supernatural ways, and everything like that. But yeah, Pastor Stephen Furtick is so great. And it's just like every video I watch, it's like, oh my God, it's like speaking directly to me, right? Those are the best pastors, where it's like anybody can watch them and go, this is like on the nose. This is God speaking through them, speaking to me, right? So the feds are investigating a pair of mysterious incidents in Washington, D.C., including one near the White House that are similar. So it's a similar article to CNN, but I just wanted to show y'all how many articles. So this is from the New York Post. Then you have CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell. Y'all want to watch this? Let's watch this real quick. Let's just watch this real quick from the, because I think it's like just 2 minutes. I got my headphones on. This should play. Nah, everything's really frozen up. Yeah, let's go ahead and play, because this is huge mainstream news reporting mysterious directed energy weapons. This is happening. It's happening. Smile. I'll stop saying it because I know it, but I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. A lot of you guys maybe saw it coming, but also this makes me more hopeful, because I also felt like we're not going to have to go through this. Okay, here it is.
Mystery right here in the nation's capital. Law enforcement agencies are investigating two possible sonic attacks on government officials, leading to vertigo, pounding headaches, and nausea. The CIA is now working to find out if possible attacks are being carried out by foreigners on U.S. soil. Here's CBS's Jeff Pegues.
One of the alleged energy attacks occurred on the south side of.
And the whole deal is that I'm not going to stop it, because if I stop it, then it'll freeze. So I'm just going to let it go.
A White House aide that followed a similar incident in.
And my hackers are like running havoc on everything. My computer's so hot, it's like boiling. Let's get through this. Let's get through this video. This video, not the video that I'm making. We'll never get through this video that I'm making. Y'all know me. I guess maybe let's forego this, and I can just show it on a live stream. The point, though, is that CBS Evening News is reporting directed energy weapons. Here we go. We'll just watch it like this.
2019.
So frustrating. Because I see other YouTubers who aren't part of it, and like all their stuff is so smooth and stuff like that. And then I can't even, like, I put out a lot. Okay, it's just going to keep freezing up. Let's see. Let's try it one more time.
Administration aide walking
especially things like this, where they're like things put on websites, like video on websites. My attackers can really freeze that, so they can like stop scripts. Like if I'm watching a video on YouTube or something, it'll just say HTML error, and I'll have to reload it, right? Because my attackers are doing something to the script on the page. I don't know a lot about programming and stuff like that, but they're doing programming things. I'm not sure if it's my microwave attackers or another like cyber attacker team. Okay, we're not going to do this. Yeah, this is so annoying.
President Biden has been briefed on one of the incidents, and
this is why they do it. This is why my attack, because this little stuff that can just, we're gonna, and it stop. Like they'll stop it, and then it'll start for a little while, and then you can't even pause it. Can't touch it. Can't even pause it.
We need to make sure
It'll
get the
just
care
hang
and benefits
there.
they need. It's critical.
It's doing. It's like replaying certain things. I've never seen that. Okay, so that was
leaders are focused on this
CBS Evening News. I wish I could have played that video. Sorry, guys. Maybe I'll play it on a live stream. I'll try and find a better version of it on YouTube. We'll play the mainstream news that are talking about this. They have to, right? This is something that I think of. with Snowden, and we need to watch that movie. We need to watch a lot of movies, but we may not. If things are coming out that are so important that that's going to be on the way on the back burner. We're just going to be trying to get this stuff out. Ooh, my attackers almost made me forget it. But Snowden, he talked about him and Glenn Greenwald. I think it was Glenn Greenwald who said it. I think it was actually in the movie, and they were taking things that they had said in interviews. And Glenn Greenwald was talking about, or no, Susie Dawkins was talking about it, but she's talking about Snowden. And she said, and sorry about that, like I'm trying to remember who said it. It was a really smart person. Susie Dawkins said, at a certain point, even if they don't want certain information out, right, like the top of the pyramid, military, industrial complex, at a certain point, if they do not report things and reveal, in like the mainstream news talks about it, the public will completely lose faith in them, right? Because the public will know about something and they'll be like, oh, they are covering it up, so they have to do it. They are forced, right? I'm just, I think there's this element of they don't know what they're doing. They got too greedy and they didn't prepare for the greed and how much these different contractors were just going to be pulling in people, right? And how the system was going to be so corrupt and overflowing that it was going to come out in this way that they couldn't control. The top of the pyramid, I do not think they're in control on certain things because they know us, but these things that are mirrors within a mirror, they're doing these experimentation things with directed energy to learn more about people, to do these massive things, right? So it's too much. It's too much. It's too I can't explain it right now, but it's not just like the pandemic where it's just the pandemic and they were tricking everybody and they're hurting some people with it and using, directed energy and, bioagents, viruses and things like that to play out this great reset and other things like that. It's different because these are the weapons and these are the protocols that they're learning how to do those things better. So there's a lot of complication involved in this. There is a lot of room for God to get in. There's a lot of room for God to get in here and for miracles to happen. Good people have to grab these technologies and have to know about them, so that sufficient defenses can be built for like the kind of directed energy that's hitting us, right? I think if they do like plasma or something, everything's dusted. A car can be evaporated. I don't know how you defend from that, but the type of streams that they're sending to us are pulses or things that they're doing, right? So this is from 9 News. I think this is maybe local news, right? Okay, so CNN gives them what they are to report, right? So bigger outlets give local news articles that they just put out on their websites. That's awesome. But I just wanted to show y'all, and then this video is gonna start again, obviously. Okay, guys, well, I just wanted to show you all that important information. Everything is frozen, so really, but I'm gonna put these 4 articles up in the description. Thank you to Plum for sending me the CNN article. There's just so much stuff like this coming out. I need to be looking at things every day, so I really appreciate it when people send me really important information, because I'm kind of disconnected a little bit. I'm trying to get better because we got important stuff, right? We got change coming. I also had this idea, but we'll talk about this maybe on a live stream, is like a big idea that we could maybe get ourselves in there. This would take work, and I don't know, this is just the beginnings of an idea, but you take a senator like Jeanne Shaheen, or we find, that guy that it talked about who from the CIA who was appointed to this. We go to their office, right? Like this is not a violence thing or anything like that. So, we get in, how like we've gone out and done activism, or targeted individuals have gone out and done activism. I think there was like 200 to 300 people in San Diego, but we could get at least a couple of hundred people together to go to one of their offices, somebody who's in charge of this, right, investigating this. And I don't know if we would affect them by our activism, but it could create a news story about it, about civilian victims trying to get the attention of these people who are investigating it, right? So we would have to, plan a time, go to Washington, plan a time when they're going to be in their office, maybe even plan to speak to them, right? but have activism wherever we can. Maybe we can't have it by their offices, but outside the building or something. TIs have already done this a bunch. Like there was a TI I remember talking on Ella's call, I think like 2 years ago, and he would go out. He lived in Washington. He would go out to the Senate building like every day and hand out information. But this would be a specific, and this is no violence. I have to say that, right, because my attackers twist things, the system twists things. This would be like activism, getting a lot of people to peacefully have signs and information and somehow get as close as we can to those offices of the people investigating this to maybe make some kind of news story or force a news story or something like that. I don't know. It's just an idea I'm throwing out there. Like I think about that stuff and I'm like, I'm so sick and I don't have resources, so I don't know if I could carry it out. But I'm thinking it's so important that I'm like, I gotta build. I gotta get resources so maybe we could do that, because this is a crucial time for us, right? It's crucial. We should not sit back in any time like these, you know. And I understand we need to trust in God, right? But I don't know. I was watching this thing. I was watching this thing. It was like Rocky talking to the 700 Club. Is it the 700 Club? The religious show. It was Sylvester Stallone talking about how Rocky is very Christian, and it's about kind of like how you come back from being hurt or from sin and stuff like that. And he said something, because sometimes some of you guys, and I take things to extreme. I know some of you guys who are like, we need to just trust in God and be patient. It's not like you're not doing anything, but I always kind of like, I'm like, well, I got to do something. But I know it's not like that. It's just like being patient and waiting on the Lord. But he said something. He was like, you know, the 700 Club guy goes, how does you pummeling the Russian at the end, how does that have anything to do with Christianity or Jesus or anything like that? And what he said, it struck me in the heart, and it was like God speaking to me, because I've been confused. Like, should I just, you know, I'm fighting too hard, right? I'm fighting too hard. Like, I should just give this up to God and just like it's coming out and just try and live my life and stuff like that. But it was like, and Sylvester Stallone goes, there's got to be crusaders. There's got to be people to face the evil, to face the darkness. And that's what God has put in my heart the entire time. Like, I know some of you guys, maybe you're an Isaiah or a Joseph or a Daniel or something like that. I'm a David. God made me a David, right? I'm not trying to like brag and say like I'm as good as David. I'm just saying that's what the kind of heart that God has put in me, where I need to face it, right? It was awesome. I'll maybe show it on a live stream or something like that. It was awesome. It was like God speaking to me. I need to do both. Yeah, I need to let go and live in this world and not be of it, help people and things like that, but know that I'm going to a better place. Me and my dad had a conversation about that yesterday, and he's just like everything in this world doesn't matter, and the only thing that matters is eternity. And like but I'm like, God put us here for a reason, and then obviously eternity and everything, God's going to take care of that, but God put us on this earth for a reason, to carry out his will so he can work through us, right? So I'm just like, God, just work through me, right? I'm totally fallible, mess up completely all the time because I'm a human being, right? But I try and do that, right? We just need to try and be open for God right now to use us, to resonate with others, to send love to each other, right? To support each other. God, so many great survivors of cyber torture, and they're just so strong, and they just help me out. I really appreciate it, you guys. I hold on to it, and this is the deal. When we're at a high resonance, you notice high resonance things, right? You're at a high resonance, and your brain's at a high resonance. You got good chemicals and good frequencies, right? We need to learn more about how the brain produces frequencies, right? Because your brain has an energy metabolism. It creates thoughts. The neurons fire off. It creates an organic field around your brain, and your brain creates an organic field around your body, because we are energetic beings, right? But you're at a high frequency. Your more focused on positive things in your life. Even if you see negative things, it doesn't really affect you that much. You're like, oh, that's bad, but it doesn't internalize. If you're at a lower frequency, the bad stuff is going to be so much more pronounced because you're resonating. You more easily connect with those low resonance things, right? This is science that we need to learn, and God's screaming at my heart that we need to delve further into this bioenergy of human being science. Gabriel Cruz does a great job. Like, he shows a lot about that, and he shows a lot about how these Mystery Babylon cults knew about directed energy and knew about bioenergy way back in the time of the pyramids and stuff like that. But they didn't have the way to harness it mechanically, like with integrated directed energy weapon systems. So they just knew about it. They used the knowledge to do big things, knew about themselves more with energy, right? And God wants us to have way more knowledge than evil, right? That's one of the things that really frustrates me. We need that. We need way more knowledge than evil, and in a good way, and to use it in a good way, and under God, like with God in there, in the name of Jesus Christ, right? And I'm not saying like do what the evil people do. I'm just saying we get that knowledge, we grow stronger, right? Okay, guys, I love y'all. I just wanted to show y'all these articles. Super important. Look it up, guys. We'll watch that movie too. All right, I love you guys. We'll do a live stream soon. Not today. I'm kind of just recalibrating, and I need to be on call, right? So I just wanted to do kind of this shorter video. It's pretty long actually because we read that article. Oh no, it's about an hour. When I do these, they turn out to be about an hour, and that's pretty good. I thought it felt like 2 hours, so something's changing. Everything's changing. Everything's changing, guys. All right, guys. So just hang on tight. Hang on tight to God. Hang on tight to love. We need some things, and I say that high frequency stuff knowing that because for me it's like at some points it's like impossible to just decide to put my frequencies up. We need some better things, not just defenses. We need to kind of to buffer this down, de-intensify it, buy time with defenses, but we need some different defenses to bring the resonance of our brain up, because then what our attackers are doing, it's gonna miss the mark, and then you're gonna be paying attention to more positive things in your life, right? God made us, God made science, God made everything. He wants us to know about this. He wants us to know more than evil does, right? So they do this stuff, they reveal stuff, we grab it, we use it for good, right? We grab it, we use it for good. I love you guys. I'll definitely see you on the next one. Y'all just stay strong, hang in there. Look at this. There's more to come. So many people are speaking out, right? What does that mean? It means that logically, 100% probability, 1,000% probability. Let's go 1,000% probability, because when you got 100% probability, you might as well just say infinity times in probability that more and more and more and more people are going to be reporting this, because people have been reporting it, right? And when you get the first people reporting something, then you get a little bit more, and then it becomes like, oh, we can report this now, and there's a way to do it, right? Will that give us a chance to report it with all these other people reporting it? Is it just going to grow and grow and grow? I don't know, but I think that we can figure out ways. If anybody's like, boy, I have a good plan where we can carry out that, going as close to the office of like Gene Shaheen or that the guy, I doubt we'd be able to get like, we'd just probably be outside the building, but 100 of us or something like that to try and force a news story, right? Because we are citizens being hit by this stuff. There were so many people reporting it. Awesome, guys, this is awesome. Like I feel a lot shredded from my targeting, so it's hard to be like, but awesome. This is hopeful, guys. We need to be reporting this. I'm sure that this is all a buzz. Like everybody's talking about this on the calls, right? Because this has been April 30th. No, that's not. That's only 4 days. But I'm sure everybody's heard about this. It's so important. If you haven't, boom. Love you guys. God bless you. God bless you, and God protects you in the name of Jesus Christ. Please, Jesus, cover us all with your blood. Give us miracles, supernatural healing, and just stop this program. Change this for us. We need relief. We need relief. Thank you for all that you've given us. Thank you for our precious lives. Thank you for the precious people in our lives. Thank you for love. Love and faith and hope and joy. Those things that keep us up, especially in the dark times when you've experienced the worst traumas in your world. I have, guys. I can say this stuff. I'm justified in saying we got to get our resonance up. I see why God does some stuff, because if I hadn't gone through much in my life and I was just biologically just healthy and happy all the time and hadn't gone through all this stuff, and I say, hey, we need to get our resonance up, we need to feel more joy. So some of you guys would be like, you haven't gone through this, but I've gone through this, and I'm telling you, in our darkest situations, we got to find ways. And if the targeting's so bad that it's just got your brain where it's, then we've got to find ways in like that entrainment device, cleansing, and things like that. But I think there's going to be better things coming along that can raise our brain up, right? This is one thing that I think we're going to that it's already figured out by me, and I think a lot of you guys. But it's going to be a change. It's going to be a shift in humanity, and I don't know if it's going to be that bad of a shift in humanity. There's going to be bad, evil shifts in humanity because of all this stuff going on, and then things that are coming from God, from people of God, and things like that. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, we're going to learn. Like, I've already kind of learned this, and we've got to go further, and some of you probably too. But the mind, when it's damaged, is kind of like a broken bone. It's something. We're learning. It's not so much everything that we are. It's how we run and it's how we work and everything like that. But where in the past, people saw mental illness as like, oh, that's just, they're going to be mentally ill their whole life. These technologies can fix like a chemical imbalance in the brain by shifting the electromagnetic frequency of the brain, right? It can do these good things where it's almost like resetting a bone, right? So these are spectacular things coming out of this technology that we've got to grab, because these bad things have happened to us, right? Experimentation and things. But it's like you can't, I feel like I can't totally just be like, well, these technologies need to be destroyed. The better way to fight them, I think, is to grab them, to do good things with them, and to win that battle, like along with a bigger public that is introduced to these technologies, right? And I see that as a very big possibility to balance out this shift of power of really evil people having these technologies and doing whatever they want with them, right? There will come a time when it levels out, it balances out, and if somebody does get hit by some kind of criminal or something, they will have recourse where it doesn't go on for decades, right? These changes, right? All right, I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Just stay strong. We got tons of hopeful stuff coming out. Sucks that more people are getting hit with microwaves, but it makes the whole thing come out, and it can stop the whole thing and stop future people from having to try and survive through this. All right, guys, I love you all. I'll see you on the next one. God bless you all.